Welcome back, it's me, Lou, and I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. Okay, I have a confession to make. This is going to be my second take on this video. The first time I was filming it, I was interrupted, something kind of came up, so I had to cut away and break. So at some point during this video, we're going to pretend that I opened up these figures for the first time. Thankfully, these action figures were on bubbles on these cards, but they've been sitting on the shelves for a while, so the glue kind of wore on it. So for some of these, the bubble actually just kind of like I don't have to necessarily rip it, so the packaging still kind of looks okay. It still looks like it's still fresh, mint on card, but the glue kind of wore out, so it kind of opens. But we're gonna pretend that these are completely brand new, despite the fact that I opened them just like 10 minutes ago. So this is going to be take 2 of the video. And so just try to act surprised. Alright, welcome back. It's me, Lou. And I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. And today we are looking at this. The Chitauri. From the movie Avengers Endgame. As I've mentioned in previous videos, some of the Marvel Avenger movies had dedicated lines. So you had... In addition to being able to buy the action figures in the normal Marvel Legends line, Hasbro produced a more affordable line of action figures that were priced around $9. And you got a complete line of action figures across the board. You get all the main heroes. For example, there was a Captain America in this line. There was an Iron Man. You get the point. So these are marked at about $9 initially. And these came out in 2018, and the year is now 2021. And depending on your location in the country, you can still find these figures on some shelves. You can still find these figures on some shelves, but the selection you might find might be very limited. So where I live, I've seen these in a couple of different stores, but this is the only figure that remains is the Chitauri, which is understandable. If you're a child or a parent, you're going to want the heavy hitters like Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Thor. And this is an afterthought. A kid's not really going to want this. Even though this is one of the villains in the movie. And it's almost kind of essential if you're a child and you want to recreate the giant battle scene. You need the Chitauris. These are like the equivalent of the Stormtroopers to the Empire in Star Wars. But they don't share any amount of screen time like the Stormtroopers do. These are on the battlefield, and the scene's mostly dark. But if you have Thanos, and you have his Black Order, aka the Children of Thanos, you need the grunts. You need the infantry, and that's what the Chitauri are. So we're gonna take a look at these figures, and I'm gonna tell you why you need these, even if you don't collect the basic line. All right, let's get to it. So here's the package design. As I mentioned before, unlike the basic Avengers Infinity War line, the Endgame line of figures, the packaging's it almost seems kind of generic. It's bad enough that people think of the basic figures as generic, which I don't think they are. But the packaging's kind of bare. It doesn't have any like real pull to it. The colors it's backed with a white background. The colors are kind of muted. Even the character artwork of the aliens is kind of hard to make out. And this says Avengers. It doesn't even say Endgame. You look at the back. Very, very brief bio. It says here, the Chitauri invade Earth under the command of the evil Thanos. And some of the other figures in the line, there was an Iron Man, a Black Panther, a Captain America, and many more. So if you're a kid, you're going to opt out on picking up the Chitauri, and you're going to want Cap, you're going to want Iron Spider, you're going to want Black Panther. But if you're a kid and you want to recreate that epic battle, you need this guy. Hell, even if you're an adult collector and you're building up a Marvel Legends shelf, despite the fact that this is not a Marvel Legends figure, you need this guy anyways, because they never made the Chitauri in the Marvel Legends. They gave you all the members of the Black Order, but they never produced the grunts, which are these. So if you want a really cool looking Marvel Legends shelf with Thanos in the Black Order and amass an army, you kind of need an army build this guy. But if you're lucky, you can find this guy on the shelves. In some places, it's still at full retail, at maybe at $9. I was lucky, and the other day I was at a half-price book store that's near my place, and they had it for $4.99. This wasn't there the day before, and the one day when I was there, it was here, and I'm like, it's a sign from the universe. They want me to buy this and army build this guy. So I got it. Now, I already had one of these previously when the figure was first released 3 years ago, but I kept these figures on the card, and I just hung them on the wall in display, because I think if you have an entire set of the figures, they look great displayed together. But since I've been doing the YouTube channel stuff, I've been reviewing more action figures, and with some of the more budget lines I've been looking at, like the Avengers Mech Strike, I've kind of fallen in love with like the cheaper toys. I said it in a previous video. If I want to feel more youthful and you know, feel like more like the days of my childhood, I like handling toys that feel like toys, that don't necessarily feel like collectibles. And the basic line of figures, they just feel more like toys. So I you know, even though I collect Marvel Legends, some of the more premium stuff, I really gravitate towards the basic stuff as well. Okay, so let's pretend that I opened this up for the first time. Oh, there we go. There's this dude. And first impressions, while it's still in the tray, I like the figure a lot, just because I want more villains. This is true for a lot of toy lines, whether it's the Marvel stuff, the DC stuff, hell, even Star Wars. There's never enough villains. You know, they have no problem giving us a dozen different Captain Americas and Spider-Mans, but we don't get too many villains, especially stuff like this where it's just the grunts. And it's a cool figure to army build. I mean, you just look at it, I can see why kids aren't going to want this. It's not very exciting to look at, and it's not prominently displayed at all in the movies. It's like I said, these guys just run out onto the battlefield at the end, and you know. But if you're a kid, you still kind of need, you know, a couple of these, so you know, Thor and Captain America have something to beat the crap out of. You know, they can't just beat up Thanos all the time. They need the small guys too. Which this guy is. Articulation is extremely limited. It is a basic figure. The more affordable figures, every now and then you get a standout, and you might pay $9 for a figure and it does everything. But in this case, you're paying $9 and you're just getting $7 worth of articulation, if that makes any sense. His head's on a ball joint. His arms rotate, and fortunately you have this movement. No bicep swivel, but there's a swivel at the elbow. Doesn't do anything with the wrists. The sculpting is really nice. The paint application's clean. Unfortunately, you don't get a waist swivel. His legs only go up, and they don't even go up that far, and the knees don't bend, and then the ankles don't do anything either. So I bet you're wondering right now, so why do you want me to buy this figure? Alright, so my goal is to like sell you on this dude. You need this guy because you need an army of evil super villains who are going to like take over the earth. And it's up to the Avengers to stop them. Now it's cool to have the Black Order, it's cool to have Thanos, but you need the guys who are going to be at the front lines first, and it's these guys. And they look cool when you amass a little army of them. Alright, I'll tell you right now, buying just one of these figures is a waste of time and a waste of money. But buying more than one is worth your time and money. If you just bought one of these and you stood them on the shelf, it's like, who the hell cares? But, you know, once you get enough of these, and if you could get him to hold his weapon alright, because, for as much as I think the sculpting's great on the figure, like the hand is sculpted really nice, and the details nice and crisp. His rifle here, it's kind of like, it's very flat. And I'm not sure how it's supposed to grip onto the figure properly. Alright, so right now this is kind of a poor job of selling the figure. But you need it. Just take my word for it, you need it. And then once you have at least 2 or 3 of these on your shelf, flanking Thanos or the Black Order, you'll thank me later because it'll look cool. So you see, we have a couple of these. So you army build this guy, and then you can like line up your imaginary battlefield. And on one end you have the Black Order, you have the Chitauri grunts, and then you have Thanos on top of a hill, raising up his scepter, and he wants everyone to go rush and attack. And on the other end, you have the Avengers. And speaking of the Avengers, here's a Captain America from this line. I believe this was from the 2-pack that came with Captain Marvel. And like I said, these are very basic. You know, it's kind of unfortunate because the Infinity War line of action figures that were also basic, that were priced at like $9. I think the quality of those were slightly higher than these. Even though the sculpting on this is decent, it's actually really nice. Crisp detail. I think you got a little bit more for your money with those. I'll probably review maybe a couple of those down the road. But this will just give you an idea of the scale. So here's Cap next to one of these guys. I'm not sure how accurate this is in terms of the movie. I have a feeling maybe the Chitauri Warriors might have been a little bit taller. But at least you have someone Cap could like bash their heads if you get a bunch of these. And if you want the big general of the Chitauri, boom, there's Thanos. Now this is the unfortunate thing. The minute you put Thanos next to these guys, you can see how small this figure was. Even though the sculpting's beautiful, I reviewed this figure in a previous video. The sculpting's beautiful, but the paint application it's really lacking. It doesn't have that oomph that it needs. But if you're a kid, and I think at the time there were like 3 different ways of getting a Thanos figure. You either get this one for $9, or you hunt down the 6 or 7 Marvel Legend figures for $20 a piece and build the figure, or you get one of the larger Titan heroes, which is completely out of scale, for $15. So if you're a little kid, you're kind of screwed, and this is the only affordable option you have to have a Thanos in this basic line of action figures. And even though he falls really short, it's still not bad. If you're a child, you know, or an adult who plays with toys, you can use your imagination and just pretend, hey, you know, this flows well. I'm not a stickler for scale all the time, but I think in this case, it bothers. If this figure was painted so much better, I wouldn't mind that he's so short and doesn't fit in well. But the fact that he's coming up short in a lot of areas, it bothers me. But I do like it a lot. And if you're a kid whose parents bought you all the Marvel Legends and you were able to put together the build a figure, or if you're an adult and you camped out at Target first thing in the morning just to grab every Marvel Legends that was on the shelves because the store only got one case assortment, and you were lucky enough to get everything in one shot and build Thanos, boom, you have Thanos. Now this is where it looks cool, because Thanos dwarfs everybody. He dwarfs the Avengers, and of course he's going to dwarf all the members of the Black Order and the Chitauri. So regardless of whether or not these are to scale with the Avengers or the other characters, the fact that Thanos dwarfs over them, it just looks so much cooler. It gives Thanos that much more presence. The fact that these are painted better than this guy. Their metallic bits have a little bit more luster and sheen to them. So when you flank Thanos with them, there's a nice flow to it. The grays here kind of work well with the earth colors and the grays of Thanos. Same with the metal bits. And, you know, this looks cool. So if you have a shelf of Thanos and the Black Order, and you want to make it look more imposing, you get a couple of these. Find these. If your store still has them, at least get 2 of them. And you can flank Thanos with them. You know, maybe you could see them as his own personal guards. And despite the fact that they're not super articulated, at least you're building up an army. All right. So right now, I'm a 40-something-year-old male, and I feel very embarrassed that here I am trying to sell you on these $9 toys. But hopefully you'll buy into my sell and you'll get them. These figures are 3 years old. If you see them on the shelf, just get them. I was lucky at one of the stores I go to. I was out grocery shopping, and in the toy department, they only had 2 of these left, and I grabbed them. And as I mentioned earlier, the following day, I went to a half-price bookstore, and then I found another one for half the price. And I guess that's why they call it half-priced books. So, get the Chitauri Warriors. You'll thank me later. They're kind of like the equivalent of having stormtroopers in the Empire. You can't pose them worth crap, but they'll look cool on your shelf. You know, and the more you buy, the merrier. So, actually, I really want to sell people on this action figure in this video. So I'm gonna lay out the thumbnail right now. Let's lay out the thumbnail of this video. And then this is gonna be like clickbait, because people are gonna think this video is about Thanos, but then they'll click on it and they'll be like, "Oh, dude, it's just about those Chitauri warriors that are like warming up the shelves at my store." But then they'll watch the video and be like, I'll like sell you on it, and you'll want to get these because it's that cool. All right. I can't. All right. I don't know. I'm just getting his hands on back. No, it's why can't I get the gun on this hand right? All right. That's. Jeez. Jesus Christ. Okay. Come on, work with me here. All right. So this is going to be the thumbnail of the video. So when people see this, you can get boners and think, "Oh man, there's a new Thanos figure out. I gotta click it." And then you'll click it, and then you'll just see the Chitauri, and you'll be like, "Oh, dude, I was like, it's like bait and switch." So yeah, once again, my name is Lou. Thank you for checking out this video. Unfortunately, it's a lot shorter than my hour-long videos where I don't even talk about the toys. But thanks for joining me on this little adventure. And if you heard my phone like beeping in the background, apparently, all right, so one of my, I don't know, someone's in the hospital and just had surgery, and here I am talking about the action figures. So it kind of shows where my priorities are at. But everything's good from what I understand. So, all right, come by again soon, and I'll talk to you later. Later.